Gentlemen, I wanted to talk about Derek Lunsford because, again, coming into last year's Olympian, I think this needs to be underscored. There was a lot of mystery as far as what he was going to look like, coming out from the 212, obviously coming off his 212 Olympia title, and now obviously standing against the best of the best, and something that, we had discussed for quite some time now. Again, that fascination of some of the top 212ers, what they would look like. Conversation goes back like 2015 with Flex Lewis. We saw it last year, and I was there, and I just remember there was this one moment. Derek Lunsford comes out, his individual routine, and he hits a front lat spread. And if anyone was there, you could attest to this. The whole crowd, there was this gasp and audible, like, and you could see right there, obviously, Dave, to your point, something you've talked about a long time, that his body wants to grow. Does not want to restrict. It doesn't want to diet down for 212. It wants to grow. And we saw that on full display. King Kamali, let's go to you on this one, because there were so many detractors coming into last year's Olympia. Chris Aceto, on the other hand, was very firm about how Derek, his shape, his structure was going to present a lot of problems for the rest of the lineup. Certainly validated himself as not only an acceptable open class bodybuilder, but one of the top, and obviously the top threat coming into this year's. Your thoughts on Derek Lunsford coming into this Olympia?
I think he's going to be bigger. I think he's going to be improved. Will he have the muscle maturity to match Hadi? That is the major question right here. Because when I went back and I looked at just 2 days ago, I was looking at prejudging last year's Olympia's prejudging, and the difference was noticeable between Hadi's hardness and the deep striations, especially through here. Right through here, okay? It was very obvious. Can Derek get that with the size? Now, here's the problem. Derek has the shape. Derek has the looks. Derek has the politics. Derek has all that going in, okay? Can he, with the added size, maintain or beat his conditioning? That is very hard. For those that don't know, the bigger you get, the harder it gets to get that crispy look. Can he do that? If he can do that, he'll beat Hadi.
Armon, from what you saw last year, Derek obviously answering a lot of the questions about his inclusion. Obviously, again, let's not forget, coming in on a special invite. He did not qualify for the Olympia. He came in on a special invite, and there were a lot of detractors about that decision as well. But obviously proving himself very worthy of the Open Olympia stage. Your thoughts on Lunsford coming into this Olympia?
Just like what King said, Derek, like right now, you look at him, and his chest and shoulders are just so, full and just insane looking. But when he dieted down, especially the chest area deflated a lot and was kind of like really flat. And did he build enough tissue during from then to now to really make an impact on that and have, some new fresh muscle there that can come in, denser looking? Because right now, his chest looks enormous. Everything is just so big and full. It just looks like he's been just pumped up full of, air. It looks so crazy. But coming down to when you get every little bit of water and fat off your body, is that chest and shoulder area going to be able to? It's not going to be as full, obviously, but is it going to be full enough to compare with Hadi's insane, striations, and just he just looks like just hard as nails, where Derek kind of has a little softer look last year, I think.
Dave Palumbo, make a compelling argument as to why Derek Lunsford will win the Olympia.
Because the fans want to see Derek Lunsford win the Olympia. and he's going to make the improvements that the judges asked him to do. And, I wanted to ask King this. I don't even know if you know. How old is Hadi Choopan?
I have no idea.
He's got to be late 30s, right?
I think he's like 37. I think.
So I think Derek's still getting better. I think Hadi is probably not getting better at this point. So you might see a Hadi that's equal to what we saw last year, and you might see a Derek that's better. And I think judges like to see guys that are close moving in the better direction rather than in the not better direction. So I think if Derek comes in better, and once again, we don't know how he's going to peak for the show. He could get food poisoning for all we know. He could get COVID. You don't know what's going to happen. Assuming Derek is better than he was last year and Hadi's the same or worse, I think Derek beats him. But, and like I said, as much as I really like Derek's physique, I think that the more dangerous guys are Samson Dauda and Andrew Jack, because even though we haven't seen them, at their best yet. I think, and I think Andrew was close to his best in Texas. I think that those guys are just dangerous because they're so tall and so wide. And as Lee Haney would say, big man always beats a good little man. And that's been the history of the Olympia. If we see two guys that are just massive structurally, in condition, full enough on that stage, I think we're not even going to see Derek and Hadi on. We're gonna like push them to the periphery, and we're going to be looking at those two guys right in the middle, possibly next to like a Nick Walker and Labrada. So the discrepancy in height between those guys is so much so. People ask, why does Bumstead win so dominantly every year? And a lot of it has to do with his width and his structure on stage and the way he occupies the stage like that. And when you do that and you're able to dominate a stage like that, it's hard to rationalize going with a shorter guy. And last year was a real weird year because there was no clear definitive, like, this guy's going to win. And no one knew what to do with what was put up there. And they said, you know what? We're going to go with the most conditioned guys, even though they're the smallest, even though they're the shortest. And once they said Hadi Choopan looks like our guy, Derek matched up very well with him. And that's why you had that battle between those two guys. If you get a different look on stage and they say, whoa, look at Andrew Jack, look at Samson Dauda. The fans want to see those two guys in the middle posing down against each other because they're both over 6 feet. They're both wide as a house. They both sport in great conditioning and crazy round muscle bellies. It could be a completely different show this year than it was. But if history has taught us anything, there's a reason Hadi Choopan won the Olympia, because he's consistently great on stage. And if he's consistently great this past year and everyone else kind of, tries to play a game that, that challenges him and it backfires on them, he could walk out of there easily with the title again.
Dave, can I interject real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. About 5 minutes prior to this show starting, I sent you 2 pictures, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
And I asked you to keep it for your eyes only because I gave this man a promise that I wasn't going to show anybody. Yeah. Okay. Would you agree without me saying anything?
Which you broke. I promise which you broke, by the way, by sending it to me.
Okay. I'm not going to influence in any certain way or possible. I just want Dave Palumbo,
yes,
the madman himself,
yeah,
at the pictures that you just saw of Samson Dauda,
right,
has he surpassed his conditioning and size from the Arnold Classic win?
I would say no, because I think the pictures are filtered, to be honest with you. But
forget the filtered, forget that stuff.
Right,
at 291 pounds,
his size improvements are monumental.
Okay.
His conditioning is excellent for what are we, 3-4 weeks out now?
3.3 weeks out,
yeah.
Yes.
I think he's right where he needs to be. Does he need to be harder than he is right now? 100%. Is he better than last year's Olympia? Probably. Is he better than the Arnold? Probably not yet, but he will be soon. And right, if he continues on this trajectory, that's why I see a guy like these pictures you sent me. I've seen the Andrew Jack pictures from Chris Aceto. I'm like, these guys are going to be very difficult to beat, these two guys, because they're monsters,
Yes, 100%. And the best thing about Samson is he says those things. Everything you just said, he repeats it back to me, and he repeats it back to Milos. And the reason why I'm even saying this is because I talk to Milos on a daily basis, bi-day. I always send him messages here and there, and my message to Milos has been the same. It's what everyone's been telling Milos. Bring him in shredded. Forget about the fullness. Yeah. Don't worry about the fullness. Right. He needs, and Milos gets angry. He writes back these soliloquies, and he just starts to scream at me. What's wrong with everybody? I already know what I'm doing. I'm like, okay, calm down, Milos. I love you, brother. I'm just saying it because we're going by history. Regan, I thought Regan should have beat Nathan at the first show, and then he should have lost to Nathan at the second show. It was the opposite way that they were placed. But I'm like, Milos, just do us all a favor because we're all fans. We want to see Samson grainy because if he comes in with the striated glutes and he comes in with that grainy conditioning, there's a strong possibility that he could win this thing.
Yeah.
He could make history. And going back to my point, Samson says the same thing. He says, yes, I still need to come in harder and drier. I'm killing myself.
Good. I'm glad he understands that.
Yeah, he does.